as I opened the program today, I mentioned the issue of ballots and the fact that Robert F. Kennedy has won his lawsuit, and now all the absentee, or shall we say, ballot by mail. It's not just absentee. You've got some people that are just asking for the ballots to be sent to them, have been delayed. They're not going in the mail in North Carolina. But it does bring up the topic of ballot integrity. And we have an organization that we're talking with today, the United Sovereign America. Am I correct on that?
Americans.
American. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we have joining us this afternoon Kathy Leary. She's she's handling national onboarding for the organization. She's a North Carolina chapter director. And we have Dawn Enterline, who is a volunteer and state chapter director as well. Am I correct on those titles?
Correct.
Okay, good. Titles always confuse me. But thank you, ladies, for being with us this afternoon. Let me start with you, Kathy. Tell me about the organization. What is the purpose of the organization, and what are you doing?
Let's see. We came together about a year ago because, well, actually, let me take a step back. Marley Hornick is our CEO, and she started an organization called New York Citizens Audit. And through them, they discovered big differences between the state voter registrations and the people who were allowed to vote from those registrations, and I think there were, in New York alone, there were millions of potentially illegal or facially illegal. Mm-hmm. Here in North Carolina, we found over 1 million apparent registration violations. And out of those numbers, we found that over 500,000 of those people actually voted. So there's a big issue there. And so we've recently filed a lawsuit against the North Carolina State Board of Elections. Mm-hmm. United Sovereign Americans, through a litigation strategy, we're trying to reach certain circuit courts throughout the country. So right now we're filed a federal lawsuit in 8 different states, including North Carolina. Georgia is any minute now. There are so many documents and evidence that they're uploading that it's taking a while for them to get their case actually going. But so we're in 6 different circuit courts. And why is that important? If we have opposing decisions in those courts, then we can potentially, and in a perfect world, because these days it feels like sometimes we're living in backwards world, but in a perfect world, we would go directly to the Supreme Court once we have the opposing decisions. Mm-hmm. Right now, we have a no in Maryland, so all we need is a yes, meaning, yes, we think you have a valid case. We think that what you have brought to us is valid. So if we get that, then we go straight to the United States Supreme Court, and that will help everybody in the country.
You know, this whole aspect of non-citizens voting, and of course, there's a situation in Minnesota, interestingly enough. Coincidentally, of course, that is where the vice president is coming from. They have, we've seen situations where in that particular state, and it's happened even I think in other states, including possibly North Carolina, where we have opened the door to the ability for an individual to say they are a citizen because they have a driver's license, they may have a social security number, temporary though it may be, and those are all the ingredients. And I can show you where I live because I have a
piece of mail,
or a bill maybe. Mm-hmm. So I'm a resident of the community and I'm a legal citizen. That is part of the problem, is it not?
It's a part of the problem, but it's the overall picture is that our election system itself is insecure. I mean, there are so many different ways that the laws are being broken, like federal laws that have been written to protect our vote are being broken daily by North Carolina, by Michigan, by Pennsylvania, Ohio, all the states that we've filed in. we don't need new laws. They need to follow the laws that are on the book.
I'll acknowledge that. However, in some instances, the documentation utilized for allowing a registrant on the rolls is right there in their hands. We've facilitated that. I say we. The state has, in many instances, facilitated the opportunity, and without notifying the boards of elections or those agencies involved that this potential exists. A case in point, we've got a situation in North Carolina. I think it's 225,000 votes, registrants that the Republican National Committee is challenging the state on because the State Board of Elections failed to require either a driver's license number or Social Security, last 4 digits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to you on this one, Dawn, and Dawn Enterline with us as well, state chapter and volunteer. How did you get involved in this organization, Dawn?
So I've been involved in looking at voter rolls and different just voting in other organizations. And then this opportunity came up to be with United Sovereign Americans in investigating the organization. It's located in 24 or 25 of the states in the country. We've completed data scorecards in 20 of those states. In those states, we have data teams that have thousands of years of experience. So that's the biggest pushback that we hear, is that this can't be accurate. Oh, but yes, it can. We take the state actual voter roll that we get from the state. We have data analysts with thousands of years of experience. They write these computerized reports, and they have data that comes out. And when the data comes out, we present this information back, because that's what we do as an organization, is try to notify every one of our findings. And we start with the State Board of Elections. We actually notified the North Carolina State Board of Elections 3 times already of our findings here in the state of North Carolina.
Which shows 1 million, am I correct on that, Kathy?
1,122,761 apparent registration violations.
Now, that bothers me because I told Kathy I was not going to be, she did not have to be specific on numbers, but now she came well prepared. Okay.
So this all, the concerning thing is, yes, I understand the RNC did come out with this litigation as well.
Roughly quarter of a million voters. But
however,
that is, of course, is a matter of procedure.
First of all, the other thing that I need to mention is that we're nonpartisan. We just want a valid election, and we're all volunteers. But we're not paid to do this work.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back to that aspect of this. Volunteers, and of course the challenge I'm going to offer, and we're going to get you to refresh everyone's observation or knowledge about the organization, Kathy. But the question is, obviously, why the concern? That's the real question. All right, before I do that, Dawn, I want to go with you again. So we've notified this organization, and again, it's United Sovereign Americans.
Correct.
I want to make mention of that. You have notified the State Board of Elections, North Carolina Board of Elections.
3 times.
What was their response?
We have had no response. We did ask for a response, and we've had none.
Crickets.
We sent the information, a nice packet of information with all the data, the list of names, and everything that we found, and even the law.
The laws they're breaking.
The laws that they're breaking. We sent those packets April 29th, June 3rd, and also June 20th. And we've not heard anything from the North Carolina State Board of Elections.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe the North Carolina legislature needs to get a copy of this information. I make mention of that. All right. I've heard that as a thought. All right.
I'll tell you who the other people that we've notified.
Who else?
We've notified the DOJ, the Department of Homeland Security, the North Carolina Secretary of State, the FBI on June 3rd.
Okay. More to come here. We're going to take a quick break here on Viewpoints. We're talking about United Sovereign Americans. We're also talking about, if you want, ballot integrity. Does your vote count? And that's really what it's all about. Regardless, as Dawn just alluded to, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green, Constitutional, Constitution Party, whatever the organization, the question is, does your vote count? More to come here on Viewpoints. We have joining us this afternoon two very dynamic guests. I want to thank them for their time this afternoon. The topic, United Sovereign America. Kathy, very quickly, just a quick reminder for those who might just be joining us, the purpose of the organization and the background.
The purpose is to, I had it written down, my three statements written down. It's to inform the public of what's going on. We do that through reading resolutions that we tailor to each county or Board of Commissioners, which we have presented to Carteret Board of Commissioners. We pull together evidence, and we basically look for specific things based on what the state law is or what the federal law is that protects our elections. And then finally, what we do is we force election officials to obey the law.
Well, you're trying anyhow. Because Dawn pointed out, we were in the middle of a break. You've already filed lawsuit against the state of North Carolina State Board of Elections.
Correct. And it also, Josh Stein is named in it, as well as Merrick Garland.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What, back to you, Kathy. You said, and go ahead and give us the exact number. How many questionable ballots do we have out there? Registrants?
Yep. This is apparent registration violations is 1,122,761.
That can shift a race.
Well, and of those apparent violations, we have apparent voting violations, people that actually voted from that list.
But wait a second. You weren't listening to the news. It hardly ever happened, according to the media.
What media?
The mainstream media.
Exactly.
AP, and all the rest.
Exactly.
All right.
So the other thing that we need to point out is that we are not spokespersons for United Sovereign Americans. We're volunteers. So we're sharing this information with the state because of the fact that this lawsuit has been filed against the North Carolina State Board of Elections.
Why is this important, Dawn?
Because you're right. Elections are won or lost based on these potential felonies. These are felonies when they are within our voter rolls. And the other part is that the votes that are counted, this is all data from the 2022 election.
Okay.
And we're asking the North Carolina State Board of Elections to give us a valid 2024. Because during the 22 general election, we had votes that were impacted, 514,000 votes that were from those 1 million potentially illegal registrants
in North Carolina,
in the state of North Carolina.
Can we blow your mind a little more?
Go for it.
Okay. So we took the data from the 20 states that we have the scorecards for, where we have these numbers computed. We have in 20 states 29 million apparent ineligible voter registrations.
Okay, 20 states out of 50.
20 states.
All right, let me, a quick note. Why the 20? Is it a matter of is there a common theme in these 20 states by any chance? A common, a denominator, if you will?
No.
So
it's really, where do we have representation? Where do we have volunteers that are willing to put the work in?
What's involved in being a volunteer? Dawn?
So we have volunteers that do everything from public speaking to arranging to come on a radio show,
right.
to helping with travel, to crunching the numbers.
Yeah,
so we have a data, we have fundraising volunteers.
How do you crunch the data?
So our volunteer data team, honestly, they use a lot of different computer programs. They use SQL, they use Python, and they do things that I do not know how to
Okay.
do, but they take the voter rolls that are given, and or in some states they have to be purchased from the State Board of Elections. We're fortunate in North Carolina that we can get the state voter rolls without paying for them.
And it's the
At-
official data downloaded from the Board of Elections.
Okay, what are some of the examples in North Carolina? Which one of you would like to answer that? Kathy?
Well, you had mentioned the lack of Social Security number or driver's license
Right.
number on file. We've got 429,725, and that's for the 22 election. That's how many didn't have that on their registrations. That's within that over 1 million. Yeah. Altered birth dates. The oldest known person in North Carolina is 111 years old. We have, 1,200 that are older than that voted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we have that many registered.
Oh,
Well,
sorry, registered.
re-
registered.
Yep,
Well,
sorry.
but here's the problem.
I get so excited.
Yeah, I understand. But here's the problem. If someone is aware that Lockwood is a registered voter, but Lockwood is dead, they can easily create their Lockwood identity and walk in and vote for me. I may be in the grave, minor detail, but I'm voting from the grave, as it were.
We have we have like 92,000 underage registrants in the state of North Carolina.
So
We
you've got-
have over, let's see,
But you've got-
registered on holidays or weekends when the State Board of Elections are closed.
Yeah.
We have 326,000 that were registered when the State Board of Elections is closed.
But you have not gotten a response from the State Board of Elections?
No.
Have any states, Kathy, responded to these requests, or are they ignoring you?
To my knowledge, none, with the exception of those that have filed and gotten a response from a federal court.
Okay, we've got 30 seconds to go. Nonprofit organization, nonpartisan organization.
Yes.
Correct.
So you're looking for anyone who is concerned. How can people get involved?
They
Kathy?
can go to uniteforfreedom.com.
One more time.
Unite, the number 4, freedom.com.
Uniteforfreedom.com.
Sign up to volunteer,
Okay.
sign
Unite-
up to donate.
Unite, number 4, freedom.com.
.com.
Uniteforfreedom.com. For those of you who are listening to the program this evening, you are hearing a call for volunteers, as we heard
Absolutely.
from Dawn, what's involved in the volunteer. You have an opportunity to make a difference.
Yes.
Yes.
And we need donations. It costs a lot of money. And every dollar we bring in, with the exception of a few little administrative things, goes right to our lawsuits. Nobody takes a paycheck. Nobody gets paid.
I want to thank Kathy, Leary, and Dawn Enterline for being with us this afternoon. The organization, again, is United Sovereign America, and the website is one more time?
Uniteforfreedom.com. Unite, the number 4, freedom.com.
More to come here on the Talk Station. And ladies, thank you for being with us.
Thank you
you.
for having us.